We all know the legends Lincoln, Washington, Roosevelt. But what about the ones who shaped history from the shadows? They weren't the loudest. They weren't the most glamorous. But they changed America in ways we still feel today, and barely anyone talks about them. These are the stories of the most underrated American presidents, and they deserve to be remembered. Welcome to Agent Falcon, where we go beyond the headlines and dive deep into the forgotten corners of political history. Today, we're uncovering 5 American presidents whose legacies are often overlooked, but whose leadership left a lasting mark. This isn't about myths or scandals. It's about quiet strength, policy over personality, and decisions that helped shape a nation. Let's begin with a man who got more done in 4 years than many did in 8. James K. Polk wasn't supposed to be great. In fact, few expected much from him. But in just one term, he expanded the U.S. territory by more than a third, adding Texas, California, Oregon, and much of the Southwest. He reformed banking, settled border disputes, and fulfilled every single campaign promise. Yet, he rarely gets mentioned among America's greats. Why? Because Polk didn't care for legacy, only for results. A focused, driven, underrated genius of a president. Chester A. Arthur entered the White House after the assassination of James Garfield. Many assumed he would be corrupt, a product of New York's political machine. But instead, Arthur shocked the nation. He reformed the federal civil service, signing the Pendleton Act, which began the end of patronage and corruption in government hiring. He stood against his own party, put integrity first, and modernized the Navy. Yet today, his name barely registers in textbooks, proof that some of the best leaders are the ones no one saw coming. Often remembered only for the controversial election of 1876, Rutherford B. Hayes quietly helped heal a broken nation. He ended the era of Reconstruction, withdrawing federal troops from the South, a deeply complicated and controversial decision, but one that helped cool national tensions. Hayes also promoted education reform, racial equality, and merit-based government jobs. While his legacy is nuanced, many historians now view him as a principled man in an impossible time, a president who sought unity over division. His story is one of quiet moral courage. Gerald Ford was never elected as president or vice president, yet became both during one of America's darkest political crises. After Nixon's resignation during Watergate, the nation was bitterly divided and distrustful. Ford stepped in with calm, humility, and honesty. His controversial pardon of Nixon may have cost him re-election, but many historians now see it as a necessary move to help the country move forward. He restored faith in the presidency at a time it was nearly broken, and did so without ego. Ford wasn't flashy, but he was exactly what America needed. Though not always labeled as underrated, Dwight D. Eisenhower often doesn't get the full credit he deserves. A former 5-star general, his presidency focused on peace through strength, economic stability, and infrastructure, including launching the interstate highway system. He managed Cold War tensions, warned against the military-industrial complex, and kept America calm and prosperous during a volatile global period. Today, many remember him simply as a war hero, but his strategic brilliance as a peacetime president is often undervalued. Eisenhower led not just with strength, but with balance and foresight. The conclusion is that these presidents may not dominate the monuments, the movies, or the memes. But they mattered. Quietly. Powerfully. Permanently. Their stories are reminders that leadership isn't about noise. It's about impact. In an age where fame often overshadows facts, let's take a moment to honor the presidents who led with purpose, not popularity. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten greatness, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Agent Falcon. We'll be back soon with more truth from the shadows of history. Until then, stay sharp, stay curious.